welcome to another episode of the CEOpeek. I am Dave Osh, the CEO of Varlinks that sponsors this show. We partner with executive teams to create transformative change in high complexity. Our purpose is to evolve leadership effectiveness so that together we create a ripple effect of unity in the world. The CEOpeek show is devoted to sharing the thought leadership of successful leaders of mid-sized companies. Such a leader is our guest today, Tom Salonek, the president and CEO of Intertech. Intertech is a software development consulting firm for mid-market organizations. Intertech has won over 50 awards, including being named one of the best 30 employers in tech by Fortune magazine and one of the top 10 consulting firms in America by Consulting Magazine. Intertech has been trusted by some of the top organizations in the world as they pivoted to new technologies including NASA, 3M, Intel, Microsoft, BP, and the United States Air Force, Army, and Navy. Tom started his career as a software developer right after graduating in quantitative methods at University of St. Thomas, and 2 years after, he founded Intertech in 1991. This year, they'll celebrate their 30th anniversary. Tom completed executive education in leadership at the Harvard School of Business and MIT, and over a decade ago, Tom founded also the Intertech Foundation, which provides financial assistance to families with critically ill children and university STEM scholarship. Tom has been named one of 40 under 40 by the Business Journal and the Business Builder of the Year by Upsize magazine. Hello, Tom, and welcome to the show.
Hello, David. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to host you on the show because you have such a colorful personality. You have two adopted kids, ages 9 and 11 years. Your son was born in South Korea and your daughter was born in China.
Yes.
And that makes you a very diverse family.
That's right.
Isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Best idea I've ever had was to adopt.
So, while most CEOs don't find time for anything outside their business, you have published 3 books. The first book, Building a Winning Business, 70 Takeaways for Creating a Strong Company During Good and Bad Economic Times. And the second book was The Team Supermanners, The Well-Behaved Adventures of Xander the Dog, Sweet Chicks, and Baby Girl.
Yes.
So what did drive you to write a children leadership book?
I thought it would be kind of a hoot to have a story where my kids were the main characters. So Xander is the name of our Doberman, and Sweet Cheeks is my son's nickname. When he was a little guy, someone said, when God was handing out cheeks, you got in line twice. And then Baby Girl, that's my daughter. And so it's a children's story about kids that behave well and kids that don't, and it teaches them manners.
Wow, such a beautiful story. That's incredible. I ordered last week your book, The 100, and Building Blocks for Business Leadership. And I really love it. And I recommend everyone on the show to get the book and read it because it has 100 stories, anecdotes, and leadership, actually, strategies that you can use on a day-to-day leading your organizations. And I'm now in chapter 2, reading about employee engagement. And I noticed that you hold a very unorthodox views about employee engagement. So what is it and what isn't it employee engagement?
Sure. When we have employee engagement, we're going to see 3 things. One, people are going to give extra discretionary effort in their jobs. So they're going to do more than what we can ask them to do. 2, they're going to stay. And 3, they're going to refer other employees to us. And they're also going to refer potential clients to us. What engagement is not, but this is what gets the photos in the magazines. It's not free beer. It's not foosball tables. If my manager is a moron and my work is mundane, it does not matter to have those kind of perks. And the positive results of engagement are our firms going to make, when they look at studies, firms that have high engagement versus low make more money. Their employees are sick less. They're more productive and they stay longer.
How do you manage leadership engagement, employee engagement in your organization?
Well, we've competed and you've shared that we've won best places to work, great places to work. We've won over a couple dozen of those. And it really is a result of focusing on a half a dozen to 8 different areas. And a big one would be alignment to mission and alignment to goals. And that means that obviously we need to be communicating with our employees what our mission is and what our goals are. And more importantly, we need to be able to tie what the mission is and tie what the goals are to them. Another big thing is clear expectations. We use Dale Carnegie Key Result Areas as a performance management tool where everyone in the organization has 3 to 5 goals, with the top goal being the main way that they contribute to the organization. Like for a salesperson, that'd be sales. Or for a consultant, it would be chargeable hours. And as a leadership team, we need to make sure that we're doing the big things that leaders do, that we're defining goals, we're holding people accountable to those goals, we're giving them praise. When we do corrections, we do that privately and specifically. And then as a leader, we need to care for our people. That's another big part of having employees that are engaged. That's saying that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And what I've shared with our leadership team is caring means that weddings are optional and funerals are mandatory. And then going out of our way to make sure that our people know that they're valued. And my mother, growing up, she was a big card writer, and a social scientist actually did a study and found out that when feedback is given to an employee that's positive, when they get a handwritten card, it's about twice as meaningful as getting a face-to-face conversation. And that's about twice as meaningful as getting an email. And so when giving praise, making sure that we're taking a little bit of extra time to let people know that we're taking the time to recognize them. And then when we give praise, being really specific about it, not just saying good job, but being specific about what they did, letting them know that I know that you went out of your way to make this happen, and where we can, tie it back to what it means to us. So those are just a few things that are going to exist in a company with high engagement.
So I'm wondering, during COVID-19, I guess you work from home. How did you manage to keep or what do you replace the written cards with?
I'm still doing written cards. I had my admins print out a bunch of sheets of addresses and send me 100 thank you cards. And every week, when I look at communication that's happening across the firm, I'm looking to catch people doing something right and taking the time to send them a handwritten card to their home.
This is so powerful, to get it, even in these times that we don't have this face-to-face interaction, to get something by mail and to open, you have a personal card from the CEO. It's really powerful.
I've had spouses say that it's really nice, Tom, that you write a thank you, but I have horrible handwriting. They said there are times that we appreciate the card, we just couldn't read what it said.
You mentioned alignment with the goal. And one of the biggest challenges I had as a leader is to bring this kind of alignment between the personal goals of employees, different purpose, different visions for themselves, to align it with the organization vision. So how do you close this gap between the personal visions, personal goals, and the company goals?
Every year we do a couple things. One, we get input for our company goals from our employees. We do a thing that we call a town hall, which is a half-day session that is facilitated by one of the senior employees, but none of the partners are at this event. And the employees talk about, what are things that are working well? What should we start doing, stop doing, and continue doing? As well as what are things that are maybe a hassle for them, for our customers, or for our organization? And so by getting people to lean in and help define what it is we're going to be tackling for the upcoming year. It isn't that the leadership team we hold ourselves up for 2 days and we come out with a show up and throw up and just say, this is what we're going to do. Everybody get in line. By front ending this and getting the employees engaged early on, defining what it is we're going to be doing over the course of the next 12 months, it gets buy-in. People, they want to live in a world that they help create.
So it's like a bottom-up, top-down approach. It's kind of a circle. So it's not you combine both of them together, take all their inputs into the plan.
Yes, exactly.
Did I get it right?
Yes, yep, exactly. That before we do our strategic planning, we're doing the town hall. And then about 6 months after our town hall, we do stay interviews. And so just like an exit interview, a person sitting down and going over, what are the things that are working for you and what are things that we could be doing better at? And so if we need to make some mid-course adjustments, we do that. Something else that we do is for these best places to work, great places to work awards, after the list has been published, you can purchase the aggregated anonymous results and see, what are, as far as these major areas of engagement, where are we doing well and where can we improve?
Yeah, so you're actually using this tool as external platform to measure the engagement, right?
Exactly. For these tools that measure engagement, they're measuring around 7 or 8 different areas, and it's about 40 or 60 different questions that the employees are being asked, as well as for these different engagement tools, they do ask open-ended questions, and they can do things like in that report, create a word cloud and define, what are the things that employees are saying in free form about the organization.
So, I'm still coming back to your handwritten notices or letters because this is something I wrote to myself to do it, even with my clients. I think it's so powerful to ask for the address and send something. But it adds also to something that I read in the book that about giving the employee the feeling that is valued by the leadership team. So can you elaborate a bit? How do you make the people, the team, and the whole organization feel valued?
Sure. Well, something that we've done to allow recognition, people feeling valued, because as you know, Dave, there are so many moving parts in an organization. It would be impossible for me to catch people doing things well. And so what we rolled out about 15 years ago, our values at Intertech are attitude, commitment, and excellence. And we use the acronym ACE. And we have created a way for one employee to recognize another employee for living our values or going out of their way to deliver. That goes out in our weekly newsletter so that every week we have employees that are recognizing one another. It's not just a function of the leadership team. And pre-COVID, we'd have a quarterly all-company meeting with beer and pizza to start and then get into the business of the night. And at that meeting, we gamify it and have a drawing for Starbucks or Amazon gift cards. And then once a year, we have our version of the Oscars at our all-company meeting where we recognize the top person that took time to nominate someone else, the top person that got the most nominations over the past 12 months, and then the top rookie ace, the person that's been with us for a year or less, but has received the most ACE nominations. And so this has made our values really come alive. I think even in week 2 or 3 with a new employee, if you asked them, what are the values of Intertech? They'd say ACE, and then they could list them off. As well as it's made it so that the collective is raising everybody up. And when someone takes the time to recognize someone else, for me, that could be a card writing event where I'll write them a card and say, the time you took, the couple 3 minutes to recognize so-and-so, it made their week. And so thank you for doing that.
And this actually creates a whole new culture in an organization, right?
It really reinforces.
It's like you force them, quote unquote. You encourage them to provide feedback to each other both on the giver side and the taker side.
Exactly. Yep. By having the acronym and by having it, just so woven into the company, it's made it so that we're definitely all on the same page as to what are those things that bind us together, and those core values that we hold in common. And obviously that starts in the interview process. We have an 8-step interview process. We hire 1 out of 20 candidates that apply. And throughout, we're looking for that commitment to values. And we are playing with people and saying, it's hard for an individual to change. It's really hard for an organization at large to change. And so when you think about us, when we're talking about ACE over and over and over again, if that's not jiving with you, we're not going to change. And so if you share those beliefs, you're going to find a good home at our firm.
Yeah. So it's like you're creating a system actually for them to thrive in the organization.
Yes, exactly.
I like to move into teamwork. Teamwork is part of the engagement. So how do you take this cultural, motivational culture and bring it also from the town hall organization into the team themselves, avoiding competition and so on?
Sure. So for effective teamwork, we need to know each other as people. And so creating opportunities for that to happen is a key element of teamwork. And so I mentioned before that at our all company meeting, we preface it with about 45 minutes of just sitting around the table and talking. We create social events so that families can get together and we can really get to know one another. Something else that we've done to allow effective teamwork is for teams, having them take a personality assessment, for example, with the leadership team. And then in that personality assessment, where it defines how people like to work, how they like to be communicated with, we've created a cheat sheet with 3 to 5 things for each person in the leadership team. For example, after doing this assessment, it was clear that our CFO wants Mondays to be a day where he doesn't get anything new to do. Our COO, it was clear that he needs time to make a decision. He's not one to make a decision right on the spot. And as we communicate with each other, which is effective for a good team, we have this cheat sheet so we know this is how Tom likes to be communicated with. Tell me the answer, then tell me the story. Don't take 15 minutes telling me the story and I'm wondering all along, how does this thing turn out? Something else that's critical for effective teamwork is creating an environment where it's okay to make a mistake. And in orientation, what I share with people is a story of my dad. I grew up on a rural dairy farm in Minnesota, and I was in college. I went home. I was out with a truck trying to pull a tree out so I could cut it up for firewood. And I kept revving the engine. And I hear a pop and a spin. And I look down and I had the parking brake on like a moron. So I sheared the axle. So I'm walking through the snow going back to the farm. My dad comes to meet me and he's like, what happened? I told him, and he didn't say anything scolding. He said, he was totally solution focused. Let's take a look at the truck. And so I share that with employees so that they know, as an effective team, if your heart's in the right place and you're doing work, there are going to be times where you're going to make a mistake. And when that happens, we're going to be focused on the solution, not trying to say who's to blame for this.
Yeah, beautiful. So let's start to wrap it up. But before I wrap it up, I'd love to hear about, you mentioned the trust within the team themselves. How do you build trust in an organization between the teams and the middle management, or the whole organization and the senior leadership team?
Well, I think to build trust, we need to be very transparent throughout the organization. That especially in the world that we're in right now, we came out to the whole company and said, here's what our plan is to manage through the global pandemic and the recession. And so people knew that we had we had a plan that we were executing on. And now every month when we do our all company meeting, we have an update to that plan. So everyone is on the same page as far as where things are at. I'll also get back to, pre the world that we're in right now, having those situations for all of us to get to know one another as people, that when there's an event that involves my employees' spouses and their families, I eat beforehand, because when I'm there, I'm not there to eat. I'm there to spend time and get to know all these great people that show up every day and make my life possible. And something else I think that defines an organization, I think we're defined by who we hire. We're also defined by who we fire. That when we've made a mistake and we've hired someone who's an arrogant asshole, we let that person go. We let our employees know that this is an environment, getting back to our values, and that we all share these values and we respect one another. That I think transparency, being selective in who we hire, and really trying to get to know each other as people has been key to building trust and teamwork.
So you show that you actually don't compromise with people that don't fit the organization.
Totally.
And just let them go.
Yep, totally.
Tom, it was such a great pleasure to have you today. And, I'm looking at how many topics we still could have continued to talk another 2 hours probably, just about employee engagement. And so many things that you're doing in Intertech that actually can help others to see how can they lead their organization effectively. And so I highly recommend you guys to get the book. I love the opening, the story about how you started, the impact on your family, and about your wife. It was, I love the vulnerability that you started the book. So I want to thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you for watching the show. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye-bye.